and my friends. It is my pleasure and proud privilege actually to come again with you third time in this short period of COVID pandemic. And this time we in on last two occasions we discussed about the disease, COVID disease, the management part of it. And now last time Dr. Pradyuman Sharma requested me that I should talk about vaccine also in the end and as to when it will an actual vaccine has arrived. Vaccine has arrived with a bang, but with lot of skepticism. So much so that there were centers, including All India Institute, where hundreds of people were registered for vaccination. Only 8 came forward to be vaccinated. Same thing I have personal knowledge in Rohtak. The 10% of healthcare workers for whom vaccine was ready and they came for vaccination, and they had several reasons for not accepting that. But what we have seen, as Dr. Pradyuman has already highlighted, the number of deaths as well as number of cases have been rising. And if you talk about United States, this is 2 days old data. 1,88,176 cases occurred, whereas in India on the same day 14,849, and we know India has 4 times the population of United States. So India is jubilant. Of course, post Diwali we had a surge. Delhi was seeing more than 100 deaths every day. But somehow we have reached this stage that as on 24th of January we had only 14,000 odd cases. But the question is, are we sitting on the time bomb?
Hello.
And that's what my question is. We have no reason why India is seeing lesser number of cases. There is no herd immunity. The sero surveillance done by Council of Scientific and Industrial Research showed that only 10% of the 40,000 people tested all over the country had were positive for antibodies. So therefore, what is the solution? We have a window of opportunity which has come. We have lesser number of cases. Is this a solution? Is vaccinating all of us is a solution? That's what we are going to talk about. And why there is skepticism? So my job is to speak about the basics. I will not be talking about safety and operational issues, and I'm really thankful to my friend and colleague Dr. Sanjay Rai, who agreed to our request and is here, and because he is the man who is conducting the research, conducting the phase 3 trial. So I would be talking about how our immune system reacts to insult, type of vaccine and vaccine development approval, how do we assess the efficacy, and safety I'll not be talking about, and vaccines available in India and whom not to give vaccine. I'll try to cover it. So if you talk about COVID immunity, now when this spike protein containing substance, which could be a virus or which could be a adenovirus, which is when it is injected into the body, the antibodies are produced. And whenever there will be a viral infection with COVID, this antibody response will be enhanced. And of course, there is a role of memory cells also. So what scientists have done that they may inject DNA, which will stimulate mRNA, messenger RNA, which will produce protein. And that this protein will stimulate an antibody response, leading to antibody production, which will be useful. So the type of vaccine which were traditionally, as we were reading in our book Park, live attenuated vaccine, and then we were reading about killed vaccine, and then we were reading about protein vaccine. But now the science is advanced. There are DNA vaccines, as I described. There are RNA vaccines, which stimulate to make particular type of protein which leads to immune response. And there are protein vaccine when the pure protein is injected. So what is an ideal vaccine? Ideal vaccine should be 100% safe, and that is what is important. And Dr. Rai will talk about it. It should be 100% efficient. It should be preferably efficacious by oral route. The duration of immunity should be lifelong, and it should be applicable to all age groups like pregnancy and lactating infants and so on and so forth. So the India, very few people, including myself, knew that India is the biggest manufacturer of vaccine. There are 21 human vaccine manufacturers. There are 44 different vaccines. India exports to 170 countries, and its capacity to produce 2 billion doses, 2 billion doses of COVID vaccine in a period of 1 year. So we have amazing capacity that we should be proud of. Now, those who have been wondering as to how this vaccine has come so fast. Traditionally, the vaccines are first investigated and discovered in a preclinical stage where animal experiments are done. And after that, the manufacturing takes place. And then phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials are done. And then it is subjected for regulatory approval. Normally, it takes 2 to 10 years. This process takes 3 to 8 years. This process takes 2 to 10 years. So overall, no vaccine generally would be prepared in less than 10 years. And this has been the history. Smallpox took about 75 years to come. But COVID vaccine development was different. Now, in the phase 1, the vaccine is given to a small amount of healthy, that is less than 100. In phase 2, it is tested in hundreds of volunteers. Phase 3 is the placebo controlled trial, which is given to the thousands of people. And then it goes for approval, and then it goes for manufacturing. Normally, it is expected that it will take 12 to 24 months. And I had an occasion of doing a TV program with Honorable Health Minister, and once with Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, who is the chief scientist of WHO. And she was bold enough to say that we don't expect vaccine before middle or end of 2021. But what has happened? Now, what has happened that for COVID vaccine development, phase 2 and 3 have been combined. So in phase 1, you look at the immunogenicity. In phase 2, you test in hundreds. In phase 3, you test in thousands. Instead of doing one after the other, the phase 2 and 3 are conducted simultaneously. And sometimes you don't wait for the phase 3 trial results to come out. And that is what has happened in Covaxin trial. And that is what is called emergency use authorization. However, after the authorization, the work doesn't stop. Post-licensure vigilance is also done. So therefore, those who have any doubt about that, the Covaxin, the phase 3 trial results are not out, blah, 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 it's not true. And Dr. Sanjay will be denoting and actually telling us the inside story as to how the safety of Covaxin have been amply documented. How does it work, the vaccination? Now, This may be too primitive for my senior physician, but anyway, so these blue ones are the people who are susceptible. This is a case. If there is no mass vaccination, so many people get COVID infection. It could be any infection, not necessarily COVID infection. The red ones are infection, blue ones are susceptible population. Now, when you give vaccine to 86%, suppose you have 86% coverage of vaccination, the gray ones are immune, they are vaccinated, blue ones are non-vaccinated. And there's a case of COVID here. He will transmit to the people here, but because the intervening people are immune to the disease, they will not be able to infect these susceptible population. That is what is the basis of herd immunity, that if you develop a herd immunity, the transmission stops. And that is how. And how do we determine the efficacy? We say Pfizer is 95% efficacious, Moderna is 94% efficacious, and Covaxin is 70 to 90%. Oxford vaccine is also same. This is determined by the fact, suppose you have 10 people who are vaccinated, 10 people who are not vaccinated. Now, you have given vaccine to these people, you have given placebo to these 10 people. You follow them up for a certain period of time. 2 people in the vaccinated group develop COVID infection, 9 in the unvaccinated group develop disease. So calculated by efficacy is calculated by 9 minus 2 upon 9, it is 78%. So that is how these percentages are drawn. So what are the types of vaccines which are available to us? Is a DNA vaccine, RNA vaccine, we know Moderna and Pfizer. Viral vector vaccine, that is Oxford and AstraZeneca, that is also the Russian vaccine. Sputnik vaccine is also a adenovirus vaccine. Viral subunit can be used, and of course inactivated virus, that is the Chinese vaccine, and so on and so forth. So mRNA vaccines are the one I've already described that. I think in the interest of time, I will. Both Moderna and Pfizer has developed these vaccines, and these vaccines stimulate DNA. Now there are protein vaccines which are being developed by Sanofi, Novavax, and Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. There are viral vector vaccine, that is AstraZeneca. That means that the adenovirus is used in AstraZeneca. It is a chimpanzee adenovirus which is used, which is innocuous. There are nucleic acid vaccine, as I already said, Pfizer and Moderna. What is available to us? What is available to us is Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. It uses a non-replicating viral vector carried by another non-replicating virus, like a Trojan horse that tricks body into activating the immune system.
Dr. Chenaram, please mute yourself.
Those who think,
please mute.
Those who think that there can be risk, there's absolutely zero risk with this adenovirus. And of course, we have Covaxin, which is killed vaccine, and killed vaccine have been used for ages for several diseases. And I must tell you that India is so great in this for vaccine preparation. 2 out of every 3rd child in the world, not only India, in the world, gets some kind of vaccine which is made in India. What is the evidence of benefit? Why do we say that this vaccination would help? Now, this is a study which was published which said that antibody status and incidence of SARS coronavirus infection in healthcare workers. After all, when we inject the vaccine and test it after say 45 days, we look at the antibodies which are protective to us. So in this particular study which was published in New England Journal of Medicine, they tested the healthcare workers, those who had who were seronegative, as and compared with those who were seropositive. Now, 223 anti-spike seronegative healthcare workers had developed COVID, whereas only 2 antibody positive healthcare workers developed PCR positive COVID, and both of these workers were asymptomatic. What does it mean? It means that not only the presence of antibody protects us from disease, COVID disease, it also, if at all it occurs, it reduces the severity of disease. And in this particular study, 30 cases had severe disease, including 1 fatality. This is another randomized trial conducted in 99 centers in USA. Patients with high risk of SARS coronavirus and its complications were randomly assigned to receive vaccine or a placebo. 15,220 volunteers received vaccine and equal number received placebo. COVID infection occurred in 85 volunteers who did not receive vaccine as compared to 11 which received vaccine. Efficacy 94%, I have already described that. And severe COVID occurred in 30 participants in placebo group and none in the vaccine group. The vaccine was effective in elderly also. And systemic adverse effect occurred which were from 2.6 to 3.1 days, exemplifying that when the vaccine, you give a vaccine, it develops antibodies, it protects from the COVID infection, and also reduces the severity of infection. So as I've already said, nucleic acid vaccine, Pfizer and Moderna, viral vector vaccine, AstraZeneca, protein vaccine, Novavax, and attenuated viral vaccine, of course, Covaxin is there. And Pfizer have tried on 44,000 almost, Moderna on 30,000 patients with efficacy. As far as the Covaxin is concerned, the thumbs up came on 21st of this month in the Lancet, where the safety and immunogenicity of Covaxin virus was actually published in one of the best journals. And all the safety concerns were put to rest. Now, why there are multiple vaccines? Each vaccine has distinct advantages. The pandemic is so severe, so bad, so killing, that you cannot wait for one vaccine to fail and then you have another vaccine. So there are almost 232 vaccine candidates which are there, and so many of have seen the light of the days. So in case one vaccine fails or it's unsafe, so therefore multiple vaccines have been tried. The shortcoming is that the vaccine has not been tried in children, that is less than 18 years of age, and 30 to 40% of the world population in the pediatric age group. It has not been tested in pregnant women. It has not been tested in lactating women. So these are the groups will have to be excluded, and these will become a focus where the virus can be transmitted. But now I think the next step would be to test it in children also. So I have just given you an overview, and we can discuss rest of the things during our discussion. That multiple vaccines have been tried. Both Covaxin and Covishield are well tested and safe vaccines which are available in India. Immunogenicity is proven beyond doubt. Adverse effects are mild and short-lived, and we must promote and encourage all of us to receive this vaccination to save the mankind. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Khilnani, for a very excellent presentation. We'll have the question the last. I will now invite our next speaker, Dr. Sanjay Roy. Dr. Sanjay Roy is the Professor, Center for Community Medicine, AIIMS, New Delhi. He is the currently President of Indian Public Health Association. He is a principal investigator and completed phase 1, phase 2 trials of Covaxin developed by Bharat Biotech. He has got more than 150 publications to his credit and is a regular reviewer of many major national and international journals. He is involved in more than 30 research projects. Dr. Rai is also working in the area of AIDS and providing technical support to National AIDS Control Organization and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. I invite Dr. Sanjay Rai for his presentation on operational and safety issues in COVID vaccine. Dr. Sanjay Rai, please.
Thank you, Dr. Girish Mathur. And first of all, I would like to thank organizers, Rajasthan chapter of API, for giving me this opportunity to share this special occasion with you. And especially thanks to Dr. Khilani. He approached me a few days ago and he asked me to participate in this webinar. So thank you. And the topic is also very relevant. So I must congratulate clearing the wave of confusion. So what are the confusion in the public mind? Not only in the public mind, in everybody's mind, like, is vaccine is safe? And that's why the vaccine hesitancy is there. If yes, which one is safe? Which vaccine is effective? Who should take a vaccine? Is there end of this pandemic? We all know that even in India, this virus is now almost 1 year old, SARS coronavirus 2. The first case was reported on 30th of Jan last year, 2020. So these are the few questions. I will try to provide evidences for these questions. I don't know that I can provide answer, but definitely what are the scientific evidences available? I will try to provide that. We all know that vaccine reduce risk of getting a disease. So already Dr. Khilani has covered this, so I'm not going to cover this part. This is about the overall the background of SARS coronavirus 2 vaccines. Currently, 237 vaccines are in the different stages of development. 64 are in the clinical trial phase and 173 are in the preclinical stages. Almost, if you see in last 2 months time, almost more than 50, they abandoned their research even after reaching in the phase 2 or some in the phase 3. Like Sanofi stopped one. So this is the current status, and 9 vaccines have been approved by the various regulatory authority. I'm not going to cover the type of vaccines. Already Dr. Khilani has covered this. So these are the various type of vaccine, but these are the 9 approved vaccines. 2 are your messenger RNA. One is by Moderna and another one is by Pfizer. So these are 2 are the messenger RNA vaccines. Many countries they are using, like UK, Bahrain, Canada, Mexico, Singapore, Chile. So these 2 vaccines. Then your 4 are whole virion inactivated. 3 from China and 1 from India. Indian this whole virion inactivated is a completely your indigenous. This virus isolation was done here by National Institute of Virology, Indian Council of Medical Research. Then with the help of this Bharat Biotech, they developed vaccine, and then all the clinical trials done here only in India. Even the sample size, like Dr. Khilani mentioned that in phase 1 clinical trials, the sample size is usually less than 100. Whereas in this Covaxin, in phase 1, the total number of subjects were 375. So even in the each phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, 25,800 sample size. So sample size was very large, and Dr. Khilani mentioned about that publication also in Lancet. So phase 1 data is in the public domain, phase 2 data is in the public domain. So 4 inactivated, 2 messenger RNA, then out of 9, Two are vector-borne. One from this Oxford AstraZeneca and Serum Institute in the collaboration. Serum Institute is also developing the same vaccine. So this is a vector-borne. And another one is Sputnik from the Russia. The difference between these two is one is your vector, this adenovirus vector from chimpanzees, and that one is your AstraZeneca vaccine, and this is the human. Sputnik is from the, and this is the human adenovirus platform they are using. And then one again, so 8th and 9th one again from this Russia. This is your peptide vaccine. So these are the 9 vaccines currently approved by various regulatory authority all over the world. This is the status of India. 2 vaccines have been approved by Government of India. These are the 2 vaccines, Covaxin and this Pfizer Serum Institute vaccine, Covishield. This vaccine is a Covaxin is a whole virion inactivated SARS coronavirus 2. So as I mentioned earlier, that developed by India, so completely indigenous. Another one is your approved by government agency, that is the this AstraZeneca and Oxford University vaccine. The another vaccine which is in the phase 1, phase 2 clinical, almost they have completed phase 2 trial. They are going to start phase 3 trial. That is this Zydus Cadila vaccine. This is also a completely indigenous vaccine. So currently in India, these 6 vaccines are in the different phases of the development. Then biological E-vaccine, this is again a subunit vaccine, and already in phase 1 and phase 2 is going on. For Sputnik, with the Dr. Reddy Laboratory, phase 2 by phase 3 trial, they have already started. And the efficacy of this Sputnik, they have mentioned, is 91.4. And then this Genova messenger RNA vaccine, they just got approval to start this phase 1 by phase 2 trial. So these are the 6 vaccines in the clinical trial stage in India. So most probably very soon we'll get a few more vaccine. We are aware that India has already started the largest vaccination drive of this world on 16th of Jan this year only, and this month only. Already inoculated more than around 30 lakh people, and they are mainly healthcare providers. And the planning is to vaccinate more than 300 million by July 2021. This is the target. We already India has trained more than 2 lakh vaccinator. We have more than 29,000 cold chain points. And not only in this country, we are also nursing to the neighbors, like already supplied vaccine to at least 9 countries, like Bangladesh, 20 lakh, 2 million, and then to your Nepal, Bhutan, Maldives, Mauritius, and so there are many countries, so almost, and also to some other countries like Brazil. So already nursing to the many other countries. So this is the sub-comparative, like COVID-19 vaccine, and for these 2 vaccines are approved in India. So just I'm comparing with the available data available in the public domain. Like Covishield, the total sample size in the phase 3 trial was 23,845, and Covaxin 25,800. These phase 3 clinical trials for Covishield was done in Brazil, UK, and then South Africa. But in South Africa data, they have not used. They have used Brazil and UK data, and that was the single blinding. Based on the available literature, the overall this efficacy, vaccine efficacy was 62.1% for Covishield. Actually, this was with the standard dose. 2 standard dose, the efficacy was 62.1%. In few subjects, almost around 4,000 subjects, by mistakes, half dose was, first dose was given as a half dose. And in that group, the efficacy was around 90%. So overall efficacy, if you combine these two groups, then it was around 70%. Otherwise, with 2 standard dose, co-vaccines, they have not estimated their efficacy because of this reason. See, for efficacy, we need some events like Dr. Khilani just mentioned, that in placebo group and in vaccine group. So we compare both group. The problem is currently India is the total incidence cases are very low. So they are not getting events in either in the vaccine group or in the placebo group. But if you consider this presence of neutralizing antibodies, so almost the same formulation in phase 2, the neutralizing antibodies were present in 98.2% of the subjects, whereas in this Covishield, 100%. So these are the proxy indicator of the overall vaccine efficacy, but we cannot say that this is the vaccine efficacy 98% or 100%, but we can consider as a proxy indicator in absence of efficacy data. If you see the safety data, so the safety of this co-vaccine is beyond any comparison. Even when I saw this safety, that only 10% had any mild symptoms, either pain at the injection site or half-day fever, then I personally verified this. I randomly selected almost around 60 people, and then I personally called them and I asked about these symptoms. So, and this is in the public domain, all this data. For Covishield, almost let's say mild symptoms are around 50 to 60%. So this is the comparison. I'm comparing only two, although I have the data of all the vaccines, messenger RNA vaccine, etc. So this is about the serious event following immunization and mild serious event. For serious adverse event following immunization, that is serious events, none associated with the co-vaccine. So not a single was found any association with the co-vaccine. There were few with the Covishield. So this is about the safety profile of these two vaccines. Whatever data is available, I can say that this co-vaccine or whole virion killed virus, and same China is also using. There are 3 manufacturers in China, whole virion inactivated, and almost safety profile is almost same for them also. Already, I'm not going to discuss this. Dr. Khilani has already mentioned this, that this was a publication in New England Journal of Medicine. But the take-home message from this slide is that natural immunity provides long-term protection. This is the message from this. Another question, what would be the effect of this vaccine for the, what would be the duration of the vaccine efficacy? So currently we don't have any idea. We have some idea about the natural infection, that is 6 to 7 months, at least for the 6 to 7 months. But for vaccine, also from 5 to 6 months, based on the phase 1, phase 2 data of all these vaccines, those who are in the currently in the use, like Covaxin, Covishield, and messenger RNA vaccine. So we can say at least for 5 to 6 months, we have protection. But only time will say that what would be the overall protection level of all these vaccines. The problem is for long-term, how will you calculate the long-term efficacy if vaccines are going through phase 3 trials and are already given to the public as well. So see, those who are on the placebo, you cannot now compare all over the world. All these vaccines, either messenger RNA vaccines or your both messenger RNA vaccine or this one, your whole virion inactivated vaccine, all these are in the phase 3 clinical trials, and we'll follow them for the longer period of time. they have done interim analysis only. They have not finished the phase 3 trial. So phase 3 trial for all these vaccines are already on. But there will be some difficulty for calculating the long-term efficacy because of this reason that we are already vaccinating to others because of this extraordinary situation. And there would be definitely loss to follow-up of the participation of the trial because of this availability of the vaccines. So those who are in the placebo group, there are various indirect way to know their status. Although it's a double-blind trial, but through testing IgG level, etc. So they can know any time they can opt out. Already there are many loss to follow-up. So the future course of pandemic, already mentioned, like you have to continue. See, all these vaccines, all these 9 vaccines approved globally, they have 2-dose schedule. Some are 3 weeks apart, some are 4 weeks apart, right? So you have to maintain this non-pharmaceutical intervention even after the vaccination. If you're not following this, 1 dose is not protective dose. So second dose, after second dose, they require minimum 2-week time to develop protective level of efficacy. 1. So for that particular period, we have to follow all this. Even though even after that, none of the vaccine is 100% effective. So till such time, like community spread is controlled, you have to follow all this. So definitely next few months is very crucial. That what would be the coverage, how can we remove the vaccine hesitancy, the speed at which the vaccination coverage can be achieved will remain a challenge. Although within 10 days we have covered more than 13 lakh people in this country. So definitely the fastest speed of vaccination is done here in India, but still it's a big challenge. Vaccine wastage, really it's a very precious item currently, and there are still there are reports from the many centers that vaccines wastage is happening because of that you have to use this vaccine after opening the vial. It's a multi-dose vial, so within 4 to 6 hours. Then about the vaccine hesitancy, the last question, should we vaccinate people who had COVID in the past? Already whatever evidence we have, and now it's a 1-year-old virus, more than 1 year old. We have now sufficient evidence that natural infection provides really better protection, especially if you have this antibodies. Even though a few days, 2-3 days ago, one article appeared in this Nature also, and about RT-PCR positive cases, and that also that article also says that yeah, natural infection provide really better protection. So this is all about. I'm ready to answer any query, any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rai, for a very magnificent presentation. I'll invite Dr. K.K. Parekh sir for his comments. Sir, please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself, sir.
It is an excellent presentation by both Dr. Khilnani and Dr. Rai. And I think most of the confusion that we had in our mind has been cleared, but still there are many controversies and confusions are there. So I would like our moderators to take some questions from the doctors. The one question I would like to ask you, Dr. Rai, that there today, just this evening, there was a report that there had been 4 deaths in the country after COVID vaccination. 2 or 3 of them were suffering from heart disease. And in the initial stage, there was a guideline from the government or the person concerned that the vaccine should not be given to those who are taking, who are on antiplatelet drugs or anticoagulant drugs. So what is the, but now recently I just came to know that now they are giving to those persons also, those who have got, who are taking anticoagulants. So what is your opinion, sir, about this?
Um, uh, you are absolutely right, sir. Both these two vaccine manufacturers, Serum Institute and Bharat Biotech, they have issued advisory on vaccination that those who are on blood thinners, they should not get, or those who are having the clotting problems. But now they have changed based on the discussion that they can be given even during the clinical trial. This was not the exclusion criteria. Even in the clinical trial, that the exclusion criteria are entirely different, that age is less than 18 or terminally ill conditions. There was a condition that for 30% recruitment should be from the comorbid conditions in during clinical trial phase. So there was some confusion, and most probably that was because of to take some extraordinary precaution to reduce this vaccine hesitancy. There was a lot of media attention about this side effects, adverse event, and media reported all these adverse events. Even a mild adverse event like your pain at the injection site and fever, Government of India released that data and media reported that. But there was a confusion amongst people's mind that they perceived this as a serious adverse event. All adverse events are not serious. There are few serious events, like you rightly mentioned. This happened, and we cannot say at this moment that it's because it's associated with vaccine or not, vaccination type. So there are few reports. The first reported from this UP, Muradabad, then one from the Gurgaon, and then one from the south. So there are few adverse event, and that is deaths reported. So the investigation is already on. We cannot say that it's associated with, or we cannot say that is not associated with the vaccination.
Right.
Right. Although the same day there were some report that is not associated with vaccine, but I can, at least I cannot say this, that was not associated with vaccine. So what I can say that these are the extraordinary precautionary measures, like just to reduce the overall this adverse event following immunization, even mild also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So it's a message from you that those who are taking anticoagulant, there is no contraindication for vaccination.
At least aspirin, etc., there is no contraindication, but they must inform their healthcare provider.
That's right.
Now this is the current guideline.
Sir, can I come here?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Doctor,
sir.
may I please, yes.
There is absolutely no contraindication as far as aspirin is concerned, but
Yes, sir.
a word of caution is those who are hemophilics or those who are having oral anticoagulants like acetrom and things like that. If the INR is too high, there is likely to be the formation of big hematoma. That's
Right.
about it. There is no systemic complications which occur because of the anticoagulation.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
So it's the only local.
Sir, I have a
because-
question.
Yeah.
Hello, can
Sir.
I? Girish bhai, I'm Dr. Deepak Dal from Mumbai. I have a question and a query also that between the two vaccines, what you showed that the Covaxin has a minimum post-injection side effect like pain and fever and what other things compared to Covishield. You know, and in Mumbai at the JJ hospital, where the Covaxin, the people, doctors there in the JJ hospital, group of hospital in Mumbai, they were reluctant to take. And this was a very nice surprise for me, you know, that Covaxin has a lesser side effect than the Covishield compared to this thing. Because in the past few days, my few friends here in Mumbai, they were given Covishield, and most of them they had a fever, malaise, and little rained out feeling for at least 2 to 3 days. So I would like the panel, to throw some light on this between the Covishield. I know there is no option of whether you want a Covishield or another vaccine. So can you please throw a light on this?
See, sure. The main hesitancy, what I found is mainly because of lack of efficacy data. So for Covaxin, we don't have efficacy data, and that's why this controversy created when the government of India approved these two vaccines. So many people raised this objection that without efficacy data, why government of India is approving this. Otherwise, for safety point of view, as I mentioned earlier, whatever available in the public domain, this one is the one of the safest vaccine available from safety point of view. Efficacy, we don't know. We have this immunogenicity data, and that data is you can consider this as a proxy indicator for the efficacy. But that is not the true indicator for the efficacy. One. So what I believe, this hesitancy is mainly because of lack of efficacy data. And this is happening not only with the Covaxin, even the vaccine hesitancy is with the Covishield also. In many hospitals in Delhi, in initial few days, the uptake was very low, but gradually now it's improving.
So,
Yes, sir.
see, the thing is that in my presentation, I could have given a lot of studies, but I gave first study where I correlated presence of antibodies with the protection. So those who had neutralizing antibodies in their blood had lesser incidence of COVID infection and lesser severity also. And I practice critical care, and I always recite that absence of evidence is not evidence to contrary. That means just because you have not proven in your study that by having antibodies over 6 months, the incidence is less. But if you combine these two things are certain with Covaxin as well as Covishield. One, that it is safe. Second, that is almost in 100% people, the antibodies are produced. What else do we want? And there is sufficient evidence if the antibodies are there, you are protected. May not be to the 100%, maybe to 90%. The Pfizer data said that your protection is 95%. The modern data says, and they always correlated with the antibody production. So I have no doubts. If I had any doubts, I wouldn't have vaccinated myself on the first go. That's my take.
Sir, Khilani sir, I saw you vaccinated, your picture. Just curiosity, which vaccine did you take, sir?
I took
Covishield or
Covishield.
Covaxin?
Covishield. I was provided with that only. Delhi government provided that.
Did you have any problem? How old are you, sir?
I'm 66, sir, and I had to actually press myself to realize that there's a local pain. After a few hours of injection, I did feel little lightheadedness. I don't know whether it was psychosomatic. I did take a paracetamol because I was at work and I didn't want to be, lethargic.
Miss, 2 days you were resting post vaccine, or you were?
I vaccinated, and same day I worked full blown, and I was fine the next 2-3 days also. No
Khilani sir, the last question. Suppose after a month,
Dr.
No,
Deepak,
1 minute. Only 1 minute. One last question. Suppose if you get a Covishield on the first, and second time if you get a Covaxin, is it all right, or it is the same vaccine as to be
it's
injected?
not all right at all.
It's not your option, sir. It will not be given. If you received first dose Covishield, second dose will be automatically Covishield. It is not an option.
But if both are them available in the market, people may take both of the injections. After all, after 2 or 3 months, they might be available in the market.
That is later to see, but now at present, policy is both doses are the same vaccine. Dr. Khilani sir, my question is, who should not get the vaccine? What is the absolute contraindication?
So absolute contraindication I have already recited: children, pregnant women, and lactating women. There's a big misconception, and people who have immunosuppressed people have rheumatological diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, and and people who have had chemotherapy, those who are post-transplant patients, so on and so forth, they are really worried that because if it was a live vaccine, then there was a point of worry. Covaxin is a killed vaccine, so there's absolutely no problem. So 3 contraindications to vaccination: age is no bar, elderly it is effective, only children, lactating women, and the pregnant woman. That is why this is because it has not been tested. Not that
Yeah. So,
when the studies will be conducted, maybe it will come through.
so it's not an absolute contraindication. It's not because it's not tested. That's why we are avoiding
It should be
pregnant.
taken as contraindication at the moment. It should not
One
be.
small query: one who has repeated episodes of allergic reactions, can that patient take or not?
Okay, that's a very good question. I got a call from one person that I have, and the person is a senior doctor, gynecologist.
Yes.
She phoned me, and she's from my college only. She phoned me that I have allergic rhinitis. Can I take vaccine? I got a call from a patient whose serum Ig level was 1500. Can I take vaccine? Yes, they can take vaccine. Those who have had some proven anaphylactic reaction to anything in the past, those are the people who have to be extremely cautious and should take vaccine in the hospital environment. Minor allergies or some drug allergies or asthma or allergic rhinitis or eczema are not contraindication to vaccine.
Thank you, sir.
I
Sir, last time,
Chok sir,
last time,
Chok sir, please,
sir.
you will be allowed to ask a question, but let us take some questions first. Dr. Khilnani sir, if I miss the second dose at the scheduled time, should I restart again, or there is a time interval that I can wait?
So the duration of 21 to 28 days is arbitrary, and in fact some of the thought process and some of the studies say that if you give a longer gap, the immunogenesis is better. I do not have data, but if you miss the dose by 1 week, it would not matter to my mind. This is my thinking. I'm not quoting any paper. So there's no question. If you miss this 28 day or 21 days is arbitrary. It is not based on, nobody has tested that if you give it after 28 days or 36 days or 42 days, if you by some reason or because of suppose some viral illness or fever or whatever, if you miss on 28 days, just wait for a week and take it. That's all.
So how do you predict? There's a mention AstraZeneca pamphlet with the vaccine is says 4 to 12 weeks. You can have the spacing of 4 to 12 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yes.
Even if you take it after 10 weeks from the first injection, immunogenesis would be there. Probably it will be more, but nobody knows that.
So how do you find people?
Yes, sir. Actually, at 4-week interval, it's a compromise between the optimum protection level and at the same time, they want to finish the schedule as soon as possible. So at 4-week interval, whatever evidence we have, we can say that at 4-week interval, the body develop optimum level of this antibodies production. But for maximum production, this is not the maximum limit for. Even after 6 week, 10 week, 12 week, like for other vaccines, like we had already several. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, so like any other killed vaccine in inactivated whole virion killed vaccines, this duration is this should not be less than 4 weeks. Otherwise, if it's suppose if you are missing first dose at the 4 week, even 6 week, 10 week, there is no need to repeat any vaccine.
So, Dr. Sanjay, would you not mind in a pandemic when we have a scarcity of availability of the vaccine, delaying of vaccine may give a more advantage, because suppose you have had 1 million doses, and if you delay a vaccine dose by 12 weeks, so you can better protect the rest of the people also. And at least you can offer some part of the immunity. So rather the government should say, ki take a second dose at the 10-week interval. So availability of the vaccine will be more to the population and maybe offering some other kind of immunity.
No, sir. Actually, for messenger RNA vaccine, they have some data that even one dose can produce this antibodies in a large number of population, and that antibodies can protect. Whereas for these two vaccines, both inactivated whole virion and also this adenovirus platform vaccines, the first dose is not providing the sufficient level of antibodies. So that's why the 2-day dose is a must. So if you want to protect, that's why this prioritization has been done based on this only, that in first phase, healthcare provider, then those who are at the risk, healthcare provider, they are at the greater risk of getting infection. They are not at the greater risk of severe infection, but getting infection. So that's why, so 2 doses is must.
Thank you.
Dr. Khilnani, how would you find people taking steroids for many other indications, medical indications? So is there any difference in immunogenicity to the vaccine?
Scientifically speaking, yes, there could be some immunogenicity, but there is no contraindication. In fact, they are the one who should take it first, because they're for them
Immunity level is low.
Immunity is very, very important. Yeah.
And there has been a report also that the older the people, they have received better tolerance than the younger people, the vaccine.
Tolerance in terms of side effects?
No. The tolerance, yeah, in reference to the side effects, they had better tolerated and they had a lesser side effects.
That's all right. Basically, scientifically speaking, the side effects is because of the body is reacting.
Yes.
So when the body reacts in the formation of antibody production or whatever way it is, so the elderly having lesser reaction is not surprising at all.
And there has been a report that the people who are vaccinated, still they can communicate, they can transmit coronavirus. They may not get sick, but they can transmit coronavirus. So even if you're getting a vaccine, you should carry on the mask also. So how do you report it?
That is absolutely true. As Dr. Sanjay Rai has very elegantly described, efficacy data are not there, but projected efficacy data of Covaxin is anything more than 62%, and Covishield is also about that. So 30% people will still be susceptible. That is one. And second is that nobody is claiming to be an absolute protection. If you talk about flu vaccine, the efficacy is like 59%. So when you give a flu vaccine, do you vouch that there will be no? And then what about mutations? The UK mutated virus is causing such a scare. So therefore, as far as the COVID appropriate behavior, everybody has become allergic to this term, so we don't talk about it. But COVID appropriate behavior will have to be carried out. And if you ask me for another 1 year.
True enough. No, my point is,
actually, yeah, his question was, I want to add here, Dr. Pradyuman. Actually, your question was if somebody
transmitting the disease
vaccine was transmitting. So we don't have any evidence for the vaccine. Whatever evidence we have for the natural infection. For natural infection, majority of people are not transmitting disease based on the available evidences, like one mentioned by Dr. Khilnani, that paper, they followed 12,000 healthcare provider for almost 31 weeks, almost for 7 weeks. And those who had IgG positivity, only 2 developed RT-PCR positivity. And they tested at every 15 days interval, 2-week interval for 7-month period. So this is an indication that natural infection is protecting, at least not transmitting infection after recovery. But for vaccine, we don't have any evidence.
So my take would be, Dr. Pradyuman Sharma, these two people who developed vaccinated, they had asymptomatic COVID infection. So they were transmitting. So if the vaccinated person is transmitting infection, that means he has developed an infection, but of lower severity. That's what I.
My question is, can other flu vaccine?
Sir, there's a lot of Dr. Khilani, sir. What about the patients who have received convalescent plasma or monoclonal antibodies? Should they be vaccinated?
So this is a very good question, and I sort of didn't add into my slides. There are questions, and I'm expanding it. If somebody has developed COVID and has documented antibodies in their blood, should they be vaccinated? And why the government has not discriminated that those who are vaccinated, after all, they already have antibodies. And Dr. Sanjay Rai very elegantly said that the natural infection gives better immunity. The answer to that is that, number one, that we do not know how long the immunity lasts. But now we are after the infection and after the vaccination, both. But we also know that immunity lasts for at least a period of 3 months. That is one. Second, this immunity which is lasting for 3 months, does it give absolute protection against COVID? Answer is no. Because there are phylogenetically proven reinfections with COVID also. Third thing is that it's very difficult to, in a community setting, and Dr. Rai, I think I'll seek his opinion. It's very difficult to keep on asking whether he has developed infection, तो इसको vaccine नहीं देना है, इसको vaccine देना है, इसको कितने दिन पहले हुआ. That is why there has been no mention of excluding patients who have developed COVID infection. But there are reports that the immunity lasts for 3 months. So it is, and if you document antibodies in a person, he may not be vaccinated for 3 months after the infection.